Hello and welcome to Conversations with Gagan Mathur. Over the last few years, leadership has entered into an unfamiliar territory. Decisions that were once primarily shaped by experience, judgment, and context are increasingly informed and sometimes influenced by intelligent systems. This shift isn't about technology capability. This is about responsibility. Consider this: when recommendations come from algorithms, when insights are getting generated by machines, who ultimately owns the outcome, especially when decisions are impacting people's lives. For CEOs, this isn't theoretical. These questions are playing out in the leadership teams, in the boardrooms, organizations where decisions are impacting people's lives and human lives. And that's what today's conversation is all about. I am joined by Ravi Iyer, who is the CEO of a home healthcare organization branded as Live with Joy. He is also a former vice president and business head of Reliance Jio, one of the largest telecom operators in the world. Live with Joy is a home healthcare organization where decisions are affecting trust, dignity, and people's human healthcare. Ravi is bringing himself with a grounded practitioner's perspective of what it is to lead when intelligence is replaced or is augmented by intelligent machines, but accountability still lies with human. Ravi, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Gagan. It's really a pleasure to speak with you and speak the most important topic, the hottest topic today of today's world and whatever you call that. It's something which is uh, going to be in for the next few years, if not decades.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for welcoming me and giving us a brief intro. I mean, thank you so much for this. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Ravi, before we get into the AI and the future of leadership, I would like to start with your journey, right? You are
Yeah.
leading an organization in human healthcare organization or home healthcare organization. That's a space where decisions are human and personal. So when you reflect on your leadership journey, basically, what are those challenges or responsibilities that have stayed with you, regardless of what tools or what technology have evolved?
Wonderful question. In fact, if you really ask me, over a period of last 30 odd years, whichever I've been, literally been on the street, in the boardrooms, in the management meetings, and so on and so forth, uh, there are primarily two or three very important aspects which will never change. Actually, it can never change. Uh, One is decisions made under uncertainty. I
Yeah,
mean, that is something which will always remain with you. You can't actually predict uncertainty, but it has to be made, and it will definitely be made.
yeah,
Which is most important thing, which is no, it's management or team alignment. You need to align your team in a way where only you as a business head or a CEO can actually look at doing other. You're nothing else. That is a given. You can't do anything with that, because end of the day, see, the tools keep changing, but human being, the decision making and the manpower and the people are not going to change.
correct. Yeah,
So you will have those kind of challenges which will always happen. I mean, irrespective whether you have tool in your hand or white tool in your mind. But what happens is the white tool in your mind is what is going to make it more interesting. I mean,
correct. Yeah,
that's never going to change. So yeah, so
yeah,
that's according to me the most important aspects. So, and of course, most important last is the ownership of the outcome.
yeah,
I mean, whether whatever decisions you make, you have to own the outcome of the decision, whether it is good, bad, ugly, beautiful. It's not. It's never known till the time the outcome really presents itself in a beautiful way or in an ugly way. Irrespective of that. So I feel that these are the three major impacting decisions which will never change. Whether whatever era you are in. So
yeah.
that's
That's
my
rightly said, actually. Yeah, and this is what we all of us experience in our day-to-day life. Uh, so generally, when people think of a CEO, what comes to their mind is someone who focuses on strategy, growth, performance. So, from your experience, basically, how do you define the role of a CEO beyond titles and beyond operational responsibilities?
See, role of a CEO is multi-angle. I mean, it is not. There is no defined way of actually being managing things. Yeah, according to me, the CEO defines multiple things. The way he is the guy who actually the organization depends on, building a vision, building a kind of roadmap, and also how the organization is going to behave in a given time, based on what the set rules and procedures and the policies are laid out. So these are the things which a CEO will always will take forth. And end of the day, what he has decided, or what has happened, uh, will be the one which he has to take it from there. I mean, it's not that he has nobody else. The room and top is always is single. I mean, you don't have a company there. So you have to own those decisions, as simple as that. So you will always be in a situation where a CEO role will be defined by the circumstances, by the people whom he is working with, and the market scenario, which is unpredictable, which will keep changing every day. I mean, if you go to see today, I mean, if you really observe the last couple of days, share market, the way it has come down, only because there is a threat that Trump is going to make a announce another
Yeah,
bounty
yeah,
of. So these are things which is never planned. So the CEO will have to look at those things. So that is something which a CEO role is, to bring in the kind of sanity
yeah.
within the
Agree.
organization. Yeah, yeah. So that is
So
what I feel.
I'll just ask you a follow-up question here.
Sure.
So when you say CEO, so let's say in public-centric sectors like healthcare and all, what aspect of leadership can never be delegated, basically? What do you think about that?
Okay, very interesting question. In fact, as a matter of fact, quite a few things. Leadership, the CEO, or leadership. That's a better word actually, rather than a CEO. Any leader is not only a designation. It's a more of a leadership. Is something which, if you want to really grow. So a leadership delegation of for business, which he can never go roll it down, is something owning up the financial results of an organization. Number one. Number
Okay,
two, okay, let me put it this way. From my diverse background of both home healthcare as well as your telecom, I can say for sure, every decision a CEO takes and is purely human. Okay, a human decision. He has to be very clearly thinking about how over X decision is felt by the market, for market, not only by the market, but also by his own team, because ultimately he is not the one who's going to deliver it. It's going to be the team, along with the team, which is going to deliver. So for him, the kind of decisions which really impact, which is, as I mentioned to you, the company's goals. I mean, obviously, yeah, he is responsible. He's putting his head neck on the line, and he has to make sure that the goal has to be so that the ownership of that, he cannot delegate down the line. Human empathy, like for example, in home healthcare, it's purely a patient centric environment, there you absolutely cannot give away a fact that rely on something where something goes wrong with the patient, because you're dealing with a patient who's not only ill, but also requires compassionate support.
correct.
so
Agree. Yeah.
so yeah, that thing has to come within a CEO. You cannot delegate those aspects. So they're either, the best thing you can do is to train your team. I mean, I'm saying from a healthcare perspective, but what happens at the end, end of at the patient's end, is something which, irrespective what happens, whether good, bad, whatever happens, CEO has to take the responsibility. I mean, that because he is head of the organization, he has to take the responsibility. So you can't
I
delegate those
just
responsibilities.
sorry for that. Just had to stop there and
Yeah.
just ask you one more follow-up question because it's very interesting what you're telling me. Because healthcare is really a new thing for a person who is
Mhm.
sitting in cybersecurity. So when I talk about leadership or CEO, so is leadership more about making a decision or owning a decision
Ah,
or
beautiful.
owning a consequence? To be honest with you.
I think, yeah, it's a pointer question. Very nice. In fact, it's owning. obviously you make a decision. Whatever decisions you make, you need to own it. I mean, as a CEO, whatever decisions you have made, you have to own it. That there are instances, Gagan, where a CEO is when he has a discussion with his team, with the management team, probably he may not like to go ahead with the X decision, but he still feels that no, the people around the room, they feel that this strategy, X strategy, has to move, will work much better. For instance, and he has to say yes, and he feels that yes, let's say yes, though he is only 90% sure, but end of the day, 100% ownership of the decision, whatever outcome of the decision is his.
Correct.
So I would say that no, it is not only the decision making. Decision making, yes, he can't. I mean, obviously, he can't be a remote kind of a guy, where if a guy or lady who make a decision and then I will not own what is the outcome. Fine, it never happens. So ownership always will remain his. Wherever decisions he has taken it. End of
Yeah.
the day. So
Yeah. This is really, very important thing that a leader has to own the consequence. Decision
yeah,
making may be collectively by a group of people or maybe the board members, but ultimately
sure.
consequences to be borne by the leader. It's a very
Well
good
said.
thing.
Yeah.
I just like to take a step moment.
Mm,
And while you were talking, I just noted down this thing. So let's say before AI and we had predictive analysis, we had dashboards
mm.
or other things. Leaders were still taking decisions that were highly complex, high stake decisions, and they were often with incomplete information,
Sure.
right? So in that environment, which is a pre-era environment, what did leaders or basically leaders like you, what did you rely most when the
Well,
certainty was low?
I mean, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he had just no started getting into in human mind and body in the last maybe a year or two. I mean, otherwise there was. See, I can relate to my own experience, Gagan. Yeah.
Sure.
Primarily, let me say as a business head of as a business head of Reliance, or for that matter any business which I've done, where I was the one who, in fact, I was one of the pioneers in terms of launching the broadband in the country.
Okay.
Okay, it was way
Good.
back 2020 in 1999, the first time ever the country knew about broadband, and it was thanks to my organization at that point in time, which was Dishnet, which got taken over by Tata's, and then so yeah, so I was involved in that right from day one. So what at that point in time, there was people never knew what is AI. Okay, so people never knew what is A of AI or neither I of I. People knew it should be a very intelligent person. That's about, but A is completely out of mind. So at those times, the kind of market where we have to, for instance, which areas where we have to actually roll out. Okay, what kind of a fiber, where the fiber has to go. What kind of customers we need to bring in. So these are all going from primarily from my experience, primarily from talking to people. Talking to here, what I
Yeah.
mean by talking to people is, talking to the potential customers, talking to your frontline team, and also seeing the competitors' activity, what they are doing and what they're not doing, what they are doing right and what they are not doing. I mean, what we can improve on what they are not doing right. So, so these are the things which gave you a fair indication in terms of drawing inference. Yes, this is what we can do. In fact, for instance, for me, for me, my data bank, mental data bank was very huge at that point in time. I mean, having launched, got into I'm talking primarily from a telecom perspective, been in multiple technologies of internet launches and all that. So I knew, from my experience, what may work, what may not work. So of course, you need to take a pilot call. Have when you're probably appointing your distributors, or when you're appointing your team, a frontline team. You need to go by your own, a lot of things at that time. What you call the beautiful word called as gut. No,
Yeah.
you need to go by your gut feel at that point in time. That was pre-era days. But of course, end of the day, I mean, whatever you did, you need to back it up with your own analysis of. You need to do a survey. End of the day, the survey is very critical. Doing a pilot is very important. I mean, you always need to do a pilot to understand, to know whether how is the market responding to you. That was pre AI era. I mean, where today it's very different matter altogether. But yes, during those days, these were purely going by your one to one, market assessment, knowing who can actually take your product or services, and actually who can deliver. So this is something go by your own experience and exposure to the market and your own knowledge. So that is what a pre-AI era was always uh, delivering us for me. I mean, that's how it was.
Yeah. So I think that's a really a very important thing that before the AI came, right? You had to, because there was no readily available decision maker to talk to different
Sure.
stakeholders, your customers, maybe other experienced leaders in the industry, or people around the organization, take their inputs. But still, certainty was quite low, basically. I mean, because you do not
Yeah,
know that whether this is certain or not,
absolutely
and hence you have to talk to so many people and take a
correct.
decision accordingly. And what I found interesting in your discussion is that I was just writing down this thing, that
Hmm.
AI is not making decisions faster. It basically has changed how the decisions are being made. That's what is getting
Absolutely,
clear, correct?
absolutely,
So
absolutely.
that brings to my next question is that when you look at similar leadership decisions today, right? How has AI changed the way decisions are informed, evaluated, or challenged, basically?
Okay, super. I mean, of course, today, if I have to go back 20 years, 25 years back, and probably if that was the AI era, I would have been really the first and the foremost thing which comes to my mind. To there would not have been anything called as a great time delay in terms of pilot. There would not you because in today. AI will give you a geospatial. I'm talking from telecom perspective. A geospatial information as to know complete background about a given locality. How many residents, for example, if you want to roll out a broadband connectivity there, how many residents are there, how many offices are there, what is the kind of tenacity in terms of payment, paying capability in terms of how much what kind of revenue comes up, what is your competitor doing, you everything comes on a thousands of permutation and combination in a spreadsheet. So you don't have to really think. Probably even while you select your distributor or select your customer, you know about them much before. For example, today I can tell you. Suppose if there is a meeting going to happen, if I have decided to meet X person from Y company. I mean, I will 20 years back, very difficult to know what about his own background. Today, it's much easier. I mean, I'm not trying to relate it to AI, but I'm saying that it's so simple that it's available on the internet for everybody and anybody to know what is happening. So similarly, in an AI era, I mean, any decisions which you make will always, most of the time, will be informed decision. I
Yeah.
mean, that is something which is so in the AI era. Time one is your time. You're definitely close in on time. Second, your cost cutting. For example, in churn, I will just give you an example. In telecom business, churn was a very huge. Customer churning coming in and going out was very huge issue. Well, that at that point in time, pre-AI era days, we used to look at the customer complaints coming in, and the engineer used to visit and tell, oh, this is the problem. Oh, this guy is just not happy. This is the problem. ABC. What about that? Analysis, and then. But today, in an AI era, it's very simple. It calculates the number of customers who have complained in the call center. I mean, number of complaints a customer has called to about his issue, whether he is usage pattern is monitored. For instance, you suppose a customer has complained 10 times, and then after the usage pattern has completely dropped tremendously. It's very clear indication is not happy with you, and he'll definitely go out of the network. So those challenges of who is the one whom we need to retain, and why, what are the basics in terms of understanding why should the decision be taken, is become very simple in the AI era. It gives you a complete inside out look, or look of your complete base, and then helps you in making a decision. I'm saying the churn is one of the big example. For that matter, any example, time taken, you're reducing your cost, your rollout time gets no literally reduced. You know which technology is working and so on. So yeah, that is what it is.
Yeah, so that's a really a good thing because AI can analyze, recommend, and optimize, but it
Hmm.
can never take a responsibility, right?
True.
So, which brings to my next question to you.
Hmm.
When an AI influence or AI recommended decisions is not leading to an intended outcome, right? So, in that case, who should own the consequence? What is your thought about it?
Wonderful. In fact, I can only tell you something very clear. See, end of the day, the CEO, if I'm talking in terms of CEO, who will take the responsibility, uh, he has to, he gets his salary, he gets his package, he makes his money. Okay, what the point what I'm saying, so any decision, so he is responsible. I mean, it is not that, no, I will only take my salary, but that decision is not the one which I can know. I've made 10 decisions. Of the 10 decisions, 8 decisions have done phenomenally well, but those 2 decisions, I'm sorry, it didn't work out, because that's not my responsibility. I well, you have to see what majority of the decisions which I've done is what I've, got it right. No, it doesn't work that way. Any decision which, as I said a little while back, any decision once it is made, it is CEO is responsible, because AI, end of the day, is not a legal person. It doesn't have any legal entity. I mean, it can give you multiple, if as a matter of fact, if you notice a lot of articles today which come, I mean, I'm talking about say from Times or Hindustan Times or any Times of India, Hindustan, any at the bottom they mention that, it's a AI generated news article. See what I'm trying to tell you is, it's AI generated. So what are we trying to what are we trying to how are we trying to look at it? Is it that the news, they are not trying to take responsibility? Or tomorrow, it is a one liner to say, yes, I can skip the responsibility because it is generated through AI. And so these are the questions which normally news publications can do. But I'm sure, as head of the business, head of the organization, if decisions go wrong, or if it has really backfired, I'm sorry, it's going to be the head of the organization who has to take the responsibility of the decision, because he's done it.
Yeah. So what I have just summarized so far, and what I've heard from you, is that
Mm.
AI may change how decisions are being made, but it is actually sharpening leadership responsibility. This is what you are saying, that
Correct.
rather than reducing it. And the
Correct.
more intelligence we are bringing into the systems, the more judgment, accountability, and moral ownership is being demanded from the CEO or from the leaders,
True.
right? Which is my next question now. So we have seen what was pre-AI era, we have seen what is AI doing. So let's move to the future now. So let's look at 5 to 10 years from now. How do you see the role of a CEO evolving in an AI-enabled organization?
See, in an AI-enabled organization, Gagan, the way I look at it is, I can go by my own past experience in non-AI and AI, non-AI era. So, the relationship, a CEO will have to, the job of CEO is more human, as I mentioned earlier. He has to build relationship. Okay, he has to be more trained in terms of decision making. He has to look at building a strategy, XYZ, those things. Whereas in the next 5 years, I personally feel there will be a tremendous amount of focus on AI. There are going to be, I mean, though jobs may not be, the mundane jobs are not going to be available, but what jobs will actually definitely create is more and more into AI. I mean, probably tomorrow we will have chief AI officer. I mean, which is not a position today we have at this point in time. And I'm sure maybe 5 years. No, maybe I'm saying maybe in 2 3 years time. That's what I see, because 5 years too long a time. In next 2 3 years, you will find a lot of bricks being built on a AI, for a AI kind of a decision. And there will be ethics officer, a chief AI ethics officer, because who will actually own, logically, even today, the entire market. For example, 40%, I think it's 30 or 40% of the market people, are expecting CEO to take that own the responsibility in the current scenario. But I'm sure in the next 3 to 5 years, it will be 75% of the organization will be completely into AI, and people and the stakeholders will expect the CEO to be responsible for those. So for that, to enable CEO to make the right decisions, CEO's focus will be more on building his channel, building the distribution, building his relationship, the collaborations, and so on and so forth. And whereas he will have the chief AI officers and multiple AI kind of a staff who will be doing nothing but giving him the kind of analysis. Tomorrow, if anything goes wrong, there has to be a chief AI. It has to, the entire decision has to be, before it becomes a policy for an organization, it has to run through that chief AI officer or whomsoever that person is, and there is a possible, before it has been thrown out into the market and open, he has to go through that. There has to be responsibility being done by, so I feel in next 5 to I mean, I would say not 10 years. I don't, maybe there'll be something beyond AI which would have come, but in the next 3 to 5 years, yes, AI will take over completely in terms of, having people. They will create new roles will come, and whatever qualification today you have, I mean, I don't think even the schools and colleges and institutions will not will the kind of change it will happen. It will not be a mundane, a BCom or I mean, it will never be that kind of BSc, BCom. You engineer, because everywhere it's AI which is going to be involved. So the courses which will be more AI focused, and you will have a lot of AI generated. I would say AI generated manpower coming up, coming for you. So yeah,
This is
so that is
really, I really like the word mundane jobs and mundane degrees, and also they will not be available. There would not be any place for that, but definitely we'll have more AI enabled job or AI augmented
correct.
job, right?
Correct.
So
Absolutely.
that's actually, to be honest with you, I'm really enjoying this conversation. I want to go on and on, but we have to abide by timelines. I just have one final question, which I have noted down for the end. So
Sure.
if you had to distill this conversation that we are having today with one thought,
Mm.
what is that one thing that AI can never replace in leadership?
See, the AI will replace most of the things. Okay, but what it cannot replace is the human touch. The relationship building, as I keep saying. The human ability. It's ultimately it's a human ability is to. Uh, it's a human who provide the code for AI to understand things. What I'm saying is, in that way, yes, we have created a AI. Yeah, human being has created AI, but at the same time, it is human who can build and create something far better. So that human ability will never be kind of
Yeah,
it can never be replaced. So that is something which as an organization, and everybody will have to because at the end of the day, a CEO, or for that matter, will be less of technologist. He will not be a technology kind of a person. I don't see him being, though he will be a technology knowledgeable, that's all I would say, but not a specialist in technology. He will be
yeah,
more into human behavior, the kind of, how to build things. He'll be more of a builder rather than, just a taking decisions based on AI. AI will not, if it does, and yes, they will not rely on AI totally. I mean, you can't rely on AI completely, obviously. So there has to be a semblance of balance.
yeah. So Ravi, I really appreciate and really thank you for such a grounded and thoughtful discussion today, because this is a very
My
hot
pleasure.
and burning topic, typically at a leadership level. That how can
Sure.
AI help leadership? Will AI replace CEO? What will CEO do when AI is there? Right. So I think you have really covered all the aspects by virtue of experiences and the other industry applications that you're having. So what's standing out for me from today's conversation is that AI may make organizations smarter, but
Hmm.
what the leadership determines is that whether those decisions are trusted, it should be ethical, and they should be humans. That's what leadership has to do. So
That's
while
right.
AI is doing the I mean, like you mentioned, in the pre-AI era, you're doing cabling and laying out telephone lines, talking to people. So that thing is removed. AI is helping you out to make fast track it. But ultimately, the leadership or the CEO has to decide whether those are trusted and they are human and they're ethical, right?
That's
So
right.
really, thank you for sharing your perspective so openly. And to my listeners, I want to say that if this conversation has really resonated with you, I'll keep on exploring how leadership, technology, and trust will are intersecting in all my future episodes. So please keep tuned and keep listening to my episodes. Thank you. Bye bye.